Make sure I am muted. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Ambassadorial Wing. And I'm your host, the Ambassador. And tonight I have got a really great topic. I've got a really great panel joining me this evening. And this evening we are going to be talking about Galaxy Quest. And tonight I have got with me, flipped out from the Fan Collective, Adam from Fanjecture, and the one and the only George Peter Gatsis. So, gentlemen, I'll let you do some intros, tell everybody about your channels and whatnot, and then we will get into the topic.
All righty.
Sounds good.
Yeah. I'm the relative newbie, so you guys go ahead. Go ahead, Flip or George. Go ahead.
All right. My channel is all about cooking, nice recipes, pizza, preferably with some anchovies and pineapple. I know everybody hates pineapple. That's why I make this channel just for pineapple, just to troll the entire internet.
Okay, George.
You don't believe that? Well,
George, I've seen your channel. I know what you do, sir.
Oh man, I got excited for a second.
What? Oh, wait a minute. This is not the right. Okay. This is not the persona I was supposed to play tonight. Okay, yeah, got it.
No, you can be jokey. I don't care if you're jokey, George. You're all good.
I do a combo called Joe King. No, seriously, Joe King versus the world's greatest average hero, and the next one is Joe King saving everyone again for the first time. They're 120-page graphic novel, solid, no art gallery, no behind the scenes text and all that stuff, just solid art and story from end to end. You'll get multiple narratives out of these books. You'll be going back to it, seeing things in a different perspective almost every single time. It's a lot of fun to put together. It has to do a lot with Star Trek, Star Wars, Orville, Doctor Who, Galaxy Quest, all that stuff. I make fun of it. I crank it up to 11, and a lot of people have been enjoying it. I hope you enjoy it too. You can follow my you can just go to georgepetergatsis.com and then just fish for it. I make it very hard to find the book.
And I just want to take a quick moment and welcome my moderator, Shea Stormdragon, Mother of Mods. Thank you once again, my dear, for being here. Very much appreciated as always. So, flipped out, Adam. Either one of you want to do your intro, and then we'll get this going.
Yeah. Mine is a channel about opinion, comedy, criticizing, praising entertainment. Movies, video games, comics, all that. We get all hammed up and stupid, so enjoy the idiocracy there. Drop some comments, let us know what you're flipped out about. So that's pretty much it. Glad to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you here, man.
Yeah, my name's Adam. We have a channel called Fanjecture, and we kind of mix sports with movie and television. So we do a show every Wednesday night called Debate 8, and we pick a topic, we pick 8 things, and we do a live tournament bracket. Mm-hmm. And everyone who comes in and watches gets to vote, and we do it all live. And by the end of the show, we get our winner. And that's, we've been running that for about 12 weeks now. So yeah, it's been fun. Thank you for having me, by the way.
Yeah, well, as the old saying goes, one good turn deserves another. You had me on the other night. It's only fair and everything to, like I said, return the favor. So
yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, ditto. And I honestly will say I had a great time on your stream Wednesday night, Adam. It was a blast. It was fun talking about Jim Carrey movies. It really, really was. So, all right. Well, that all being said, we'll just go ahead and we'll jump right into the topic of the evening, and we'll see where the evening takes us. Obviously, we're talking Galaxy Quest. Came out in 1999. And it's kind of a homage to a franchise I think everybody here in the chat and everybody, all of us here have an appreciation for, and that being, of course, Star Trek. You have a top-notch cast. You've got Alan Rinkman, the late Alan Rinkman. You've got Tim Allen. You've got Sigourney Weaver, Tony Shalhoub, Sam Rockwell. um, and Missy Pyle. The one guy who played Dwight Schrute on The Office has a couple of scenes in this as well. So, and of course, it's become a great cult classic of the '90s, and just a great cult classic amongst science fiction movies in general. So, fellas, I'll open up the floor to you. What do you want to talk about in terms of this film?
I want to talk about the thing that really bugs me the most is they edited Sigourney Weaver instead of doing an expletive in the movie. When she saw those wonderful gears,
the chompers,
and you know where she says "f that," she says "forget this" or "forget that." It was so obvious. We were laughing so hard in the theater. We knew that was an edit. It was even the kids that were around us knew it was an edit. It was so poorly done. I mean, maybe it was done on purpose just to make a humor on it, but we later found out it was, that was the one thing that would kill the rating on it. But gosh, it was one of the most obvious and easiest moments to laugh at.
I would hope
it would have gotten a PG-13, I think, if they left that in. So it got dropped to a PG.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely, because your PG-13s even back then were allowed at least one F-bomb, just one. And I think honestly, the whole theaters everywhere would have erupted if they had heard Sigourney Weaver say that at that particular moment. But George, I do, and I agree and everything. It was a very lazy edit, but at the same time, you get the humor from the edit if your eye is quick enough to catch it. And honestly, I didn't catch it until I had watched it on DVD when the picture quality had gotten a lot better. And it is an absolute that scene is just so this scene is very poorly written. This episode was very poorly written.
I gotta say, this cast, I know you brought up the cast. This cast is unbelievable, and it's so funny because I went back and rewatched it obviously this week to prep for this.
Yeah,
and there's so many like little cameos, like Justin Long, like he became a star. Sam Rockwell was still relatively kind of unknown, and Tony Shalhoub. I thinking about it back then, like in '99, I had no idea who those two people were. I a little bit more Sam Rockwell, but definitely not Tony Shalhoub.
As Fred Kwan. I got a chance to watch Monk and everything when it was on TV. It was on syndication because they had it on non-cable stations. And I got to watch Monk, and I'm like, this guy can really act. And not to mention, there's another famous sci-fi franchise that Tony Shalhoub is connected with, and that's Men in Black. So, but Jason Pressman, he's like, this movie has some amazing character arcs. Yes, it does. Yes, it really does. And to everybody in the chat, good evening. Glad to see you. Kathia Star, Purple Lady, thank you for being here. Glad y'all decided to join us this evening. But I think one of my favorite actors in this whole film, honestly, and it's not going to be one that you would expect, or maybe it is honestly, is Sam Rockwell. I loved him in this movie. And there was another movie that he was in that I did a review for when I first started my channel. And that was Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where he played Zaphod Beeblebrox. And he just brought it with that character. He brought it for Guy Fliegelman or whatever his character's name is in the movie. So, but anyhow.
Yes, the plucky comic relief.
Yeah, they at the end they make him the security chief, and they give him the nickname Rock because of the rock creature on the one planet where they find the beryllium spheres. Grignac.
There was a great throwaway line in that scene. If you blinked or you turned your head, you missed it. And when they were running away, Sigourney Weaver quietly says, "We got to get out of here before they kill Guy." And if you weren't paying attention to it, you totally miss it. But it just caught my attention. I was like, that is hilarious. That's a very great line to throw in that because it was a total callback from earlier in the movie. It was so good.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree. We gotta get out here before a guy gets killed. Yeah, the other thing I love about this movie is the villain. So over the top, but yet so corny and so campy, but still so very, very vicious. Is Saris. Rethar Saris of Futuquate, I think is what Mathazar calls him.
I'm looking right now on the Google cast, and Sam Rockwell's character, Guy Fleegman.
Fleegman, okay. Yeah.
You know what I liked about the villain a lot, especially being this movie from 1999. I'm so happy that they decided to go with a practical costume for this.
Yes.
Not that I'm definitely not anti CGI at the least. It worked. It worked
Yes.
well, and it held up. And it almost reminded me of like Ninja Turtles. I mean, they had to have had some sort of costume design from inspired by that or worked with people from the Ninja Turtle movies because the way that the facial expressions were going with the mask and everything, it really reminded me of the Ninja Turtle movies.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that was a much better angle to go with doing a practical makeups and everything and what have you for Saris and his soldiers and everything. Now, obviously, they did use CGI for the true form of the Thermians because they were like squid people. So that was. I think honestly they had to use CGI there because they would just look tacky any other way. But the fact that they used Saris and everything, they used practical effects on Saris was such a smart move. And I got just a hint. I don't know if you all did. I got a little bit of a Khan vibe from Saris. What about y'all? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I felt the same way.
Because he's very overblown, he's very big, he's bombastic, he's got a very big ego. When he walks into a room, he owns that room, he owns that space. And Katie, when I say campy, I don't mean as in silly, goofy per se, just kind of harkening back to some of the villains or anything from the past and everything, not to throw shade at Saris or the guy who played him or anything, just he kind of you get that vibe and everything. This is from a campy TV show. It's an older TV show from I'm guessing the 1980s or whatever, considering this movie takes place in the 90s or whatever. So,
well, I don't know that campy in this scenario in this movie is a bad thing either. Even if you consider it campy, because I mean I look at this movie as kind of like the Spaceballs of Star Trek.
Yeah,
right?
I've heard people make that similar.
I mean, it's not as like slapsticky as Spaceballs, which is definitely more one-liners and punchlines. It obviously has more of a real story, but it's definitely got that feel, and I think that's why it's become a cult classic too, just like Spaceballs has. Where it's parody, but with all the love in the world for all the originals that came before it.
Oh, yeah. And today you might pick up on the fact that the music, because people are talking about the music and everything in here, the fact that the music harkens back a little bit to Star Trek, at least the TOS movies.
Oh, yeah. They basically, a musician friend of mine said they basically played the original music. They just changed the octave or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So you got dun, 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 right? So, but they changed the where the tunes are happening.
Yeah,
they just literally shifted the scale around, and you're getting that. You're getting a completely different sound with the same formula.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and oh, Shay, you're fine. Let's see. Jason Pressman, he brings up this. The first time the crew boards the ship and comes in contact with the Thermians was epic. The fact that the captain, Tech Sergeant Chin, had no idea was comedic gold. I will say I love Tony Shalhoub or Tech Sergeant Chin's reaction when he gets teleported to the ship. He's like, "Well, that was a hell of a thing."
Yeah, I could never get a great, even like back then and rewatching it now, like I never understood, like it's such a crazy a choice that he made for the character and what they did, where he was just like a total, like, I don't know, like a stoner, I guess. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it.
Well, here's the interesting thing. A stoner would be an interesting way to look at it, but he's very zen. He's very, very chill, very, very calm up until a point where that whole zen angle doesn't quite work. And I just want to send a quick shout out to Nerdy Blurb TV. Welcome, thank you for being here, sir. Glad you could stop by. But oh no, dude, it's okay.
I have a problem with that scene though. I don't look. I think we're all going to probably gush on this movie for most of the time, but I do have some issues with it, and nothing major. It's all just like nitpicky stuff. But that scene in particular, so he literally was there once, and then came back. And then when he went back to the crew and they were doing the signings outside, it was like, come, you gotta come. And they're like, okay, well, we're not going to go. But then they decide literally like 5 minutes later that they are going to join him. So in that 5 minutes, he went there, got on, got changed, had a tour, the whole place. I mean, the logic of it was a little off for me, but it's I'm totally willing for this movie to suspend disbelief for some of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, let's see. Hold on, guys. I'm taking care of a little bit of housekeeping here. Just give me a second. So just talk amongst yourselves.
Somebody got a horse?
I have no idea.
Riding in a carriage tonight?
Oh no, that's probably me. We have a hamster. Oh. I'm in our study and everything, and we have a hamster, and he's stirring on his wheel. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't realize how much you could pick up or not.
It's funny sounding.
So, my apologies for that. No, he's nocturnal. He likes to come out when Daddy's doing his streams. Unfortunately, yeah. So
coconut.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. My apologies for that. Can't be helped. So this is one of the rooms in the house or anything where I can have privacy and what not to do this and everything. So I don't bother them. Don't bother Madman.
I'm running around the house. It's fine. So, I'm sure you'll catch him eventually.
But anyway, yeah, honestly, who did we lose? George left. Okay, George left. Okay, I guess he'll come back if he wants to come back. Anyway, I think the other neat thing about this film, and this might be a bit of a deep dive, but if y'all don't mind indulging a deep dive for a minute, I love the fact that you have a race of aliens who actually take a fictional TV show and base their entire society and reform their society around it. So, what do y'all think about that?
I thought it was. I'm torn on this, and mostly because I think it's great, and I think it's so creative that the idea that something was broadcast out into the unknown regions of the world, and someone misinterprets what it is, and they treat it as fact. And I would, you would assume that like we would do that too. If you think about, all of our ancient history here, we literally have mostly no idea really what it is. We try to extrapolate, we try to guess, we do our best at our educated guesses as we can, but when it comes down to it, it's all theory. Nothing can be proven ever, unless the time travel shows up. So we do the same thing. We just think what we think and do the best we can. So from their perspective, it was real. The only thing that and why I say I'm torn is because I don't understand how their whole race can think that it's an historical document, and then the conquering race, he totally understands what television is, and he knows right away that it's a TV show and that they're actors. So that had me thinking. That might just be script issues, but the concept, as you say, to go on a deeper dive about it, it's I think it's great, especially because we do it here on Earth for sure.
I agree with that. I like that it was it almost comes across when they land, they're looking for help. They come across to me like middle school girls who love the Beatles. They can't believe they found the captain. Oh, you're the captain on TV, but they don't have the concept of what TV means. And along come now I haven't seen this in like 15 years, but I to be fair, I watched it like 3 or 4 times, from the 1999 through whenever. But yeah, the green guys, the lizard looking guys, what were their names?
I don't
know, the bad guys.
I don't are you talking about Ceres's race?
Yeah, like the bad guys.
I don't think they ever actually say the name of the race. They just mentioned the home planet, which he's called Rathar Ceres of Futuquate. I'm guessing the planet's called Futuquate or something like that.
That's a rough name. Yeah, I thought it was really enjoyable. It was weird though, because they had the power of like a starship, but they still came across like middle school girl fans,
Yeah, it's an interesting dichotomy with the Thermians, because they're obviously very technologically advanced, very much so, far beyond anything we have here, and yet they took a TV show, a fictional show from our world, and based their entire society and culture around it. Because if you remember what Mathazar says to Jason and the rest of the crew, that their society had fell into disarray, that they were warring amongst each other, that there was disillusionment and all this other stuff, and all it took was this quirky little show. But here's the thing I don't quite understand. These shows obviously had the show obviously had opening and closing credits. So did they not get the credits and they just got the show itself?
Yeah, that's a good point.
was there some sort of garbled or breakup of the transmission that all they got was the episode itself without the opening or closing of each episode?
Or the commercials, right? Did they have the DVD or the VHS copy? Because
that's a good question, right? Too.
Yeah, they had a real opportunity to explore commercial there. Like the Thermians could have been like, I use Noxzema at night, or something.
Yeah.
That would be funny.
But the other interesting thing about this is these are obviously a very, how do you say this delicately? Naive, almost dumb alien race. I mean, who'd have thought there is such a thing as dumb aliens?
I guess brilliant. Maybe it was a study in a weird sort of way, like comedic study at human social behaviors through an intellectual curiosity. But also, I guess it comes from a desperate need to save their planet, which I guess I don't understand that part really. They could build a starship, they have the power, but they thought this crew that they saw in this TV show was the best option. Yeah. But then again, watching the show with the crew who never fails, right? No matter what happens to them, let's face it, the crew of the Enterprise, whichever Enterprise we're talking about, the Voyager, also Deep Space Nine, nobody ever fails. I mean, they fail a little, but there's always some way they get out of it. So I think maybe that's that's the premise there. But it was beyond funny. It made fun of itself too, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much so. Very much so.
They're quite lucky when they went to the con that Alan Rickman showed up in full makeup. I think that would have blown their minds off if
they had seen him without his makeup. Yeah. Dr. Lazarus. Dr. Lazarus. Dr. Lazarus.
They seem to get it at the end, I guess.
Maybe. Well, here's the other interesting thing about this. Alan Rickman's character, Alexander Dane, asks Mathazar, "Is there anybody? Have you started doing your own TV or theater or anything like this?" He's like, "Oh yes, we've started recording our own history based on historical documents." And Sigourney Weaver's character, Gwenda Marco, is like, "No, they're not all historical documents. Surely you don't think Gilligan's Island was a real thing?" And they're like, "Those poor people." And then Alexander asks him, "Is there anybody who thinks differently than you do on your home world?" And he's like, "Oh, yes, some deception, lies." No, I'm mixing things up here. Sorry about that.
It's okay. It's an older movie.
Yeah, but I don't like to keep I don't like to get my wires crossed. I like to think I keep things fairly well together. But they're talking about deception, lies, counterculture, whatever you want, wherever you want. Yeah, liars. Yeah, liars. They have no concept of what it means to lie, which honestly I thought was like, aliens that don't lie or have no concept of being deceitful or dishonest. Man, would the movie Liar Liar blow their mind? I mean, man, would it blow their mind?
Well, how do you feel about the Orville in context to Galaxy Quest?
I know for me, so I went into Orville thinking it was going to be a parody, and that, at least to me, that is not a parody. That is straight up on its own, a Star Trek show, which is great.
Yes.
I love the Orville, but I don't. I think it feels like at first they were going for parody, and then it just sort of morphed into just being its own thing. Where I think this movie really continues from start to finish to make light on itself in a good way, and they're very cognizant of what they're doing, and they don't want to take themselves too seriously. Not that the Orville takes themselves seriously, but I feel like the Orville tries to be a little bit more serious than this one does as far as the source material.
Yeah, that's the impression I've got. I have not had a chance to watch the Orville, but as soon as I get the first 2 seasons on DVD, I'm going to.
Well, don't feel bad. I've seen the first season, and I told myself, "Oh, I'm going to watch the next season." Some things happen, you go through moving somewhere new, or a different job, or just things get crazy in your life, and that's what happened to me anyway. And I totally forgot about the show during its off season or whatever, but people are talking about it like crazy now. And odd thing is I was just around, I don't know, 15, 16 when The Next Generation came out. And I went through that thinking, wow, this is an amazing TV show. I can't believe it's my generation of Star Trek.
Yeah. Well, and hold on one second, guys. I've got 2 people. I've got Jason Pressman's decided to join us, and another one of my guests, Stone Loki, is here. Good evening, Stone. Good evening, Jason. Welcome, gentlemen. Glad you could join us.
How are you doing,
guys?
Hello, guys.
Hey, Jason. Welcome to this side of the stream.
Yeah, thanks for having me on tonight. Can you hear me okay?
Coming in crystal clear, bud. Crystal clear. And Loki, good to have you as always, my brother. Glad you're here.
Thank you. By Grapthor's hammer. What a savings.
What a savings.
So,
love the background, Jason. Absolutely
sir.
love the background.
I appreciate it. I
Yeah.
got all into it today. I was on my third watch of Galaxy Quest. I have it on TV right over there now. And yeah, this was one of my favorites since I was a kid. My father and I were big Trekkies. He took me to see The Search for Spock. It was one of the first movies I remember going to see. I don't want to date myself, but when this came out, yeah, I know. I think I'm in good company with that. But yeah, when this came out, I went right to the theater to see this, and yeah, it's not a lot of people that I know have seen it, but I reference it all the time, and it just falls on deaf ears. But this is one of my favorite movies, So
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Because I was a big Next Generation fan. I think that was just, my age group. I think I was 9 or 10 when it first started. So it like hit me right at the right time. And I never really got into TOS. So or really subsequent any more Star Trek after that. I tried Deep Space Nine and I just couldn't get into it. So I'm really just a Next Generation guy. This came out in 99. Was there a lack of Star Trek at this time? Did this fill a hole that we're looking for?
I don't think there was necessarily a lack of, because I think Voyager was still going, and I think DS9 was also still going at this time. I think what you had here was kind of a love letter to Star Trek, in particular, the original series. The original series cast and everything, because a lot of the characters are based on the original series characters, and also their real life counterparts. Like Tim Allen is kind of a parody of William Shatner, his character Jason Nesmith. Obviously, Alan Rickman's character is a bit of a play on Leonard Nimoy, and just down the line and everything. Everybody, I think in particular, those two actors in particular, because I watched the behind the scenes and they had gotten a lot of positive support from TNG and from TOS and everything, from those two casts and everything, saying, yeah, go do this. We appreciate, we approve of what you all are doing and everything. So I don't know, there was by no means any lack of Star Trek material, but I think, like I said, this was kind of a love letter from the fans to the Star Trek franchise in general. So,
and to this movie really kind of gave you a little bit of a backstage into the convention circuit too.
Yes.
And that was a thing where if you weren't in that world and you didn't go to the conventions, you really didn't understand what it was like for these actors to be living off of something that they did decades ago. So the movie kind of hit on, a couple different levels, not only, the sci-fi aspect, but the real life convention fandom aspect. And that was interesting. It was meta on several levels.
Yeah, absolutely. This movie is honestly very, 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 very meta in a lot of ways. Because as Jason brought up, this deals at least a little bit with the whole convention universe and how everything functions there. I've honestly never been to a con of any kind. I'm hoping that maybe me and Madam Ambassador can go to Dragon Con this summer. Everything, we'll just have to wait and see how things fall and everything, what have you. But this gives you a pretty decent snapshot of what conventions are like in a positive way. I'm not going to say in a negative way. I think that one scene in the bathroom and everything when Tim Allen's character, Jason Nesmith, goes in there, and you've got those two guys who are just ragging on everybody that's there, ragging on the actors and everything. And you just get this image that Tim Allen's character realizes in some ways they're right. I mean, I'll say those guys were being overly critical. I think they just went there to be a couple of trolls, and not in a positive way, because you can have internet trolls or whatever that can be, or even trolls in real life. They're just kind of goofy, comedic, but then there are some that are just downright mean-spirited and just, rude. And
you guys would definitely have a YouTube channel if it was nowadays.
Yeah. Well, to kind of back up on to bring up something that we had talked about. Brian Hill, he mentions now. Don't take this as gospel fact. That some of the TNG writers or anything were involved in the movie. They might have been. So, but I won't say that that's 100% fact. I'd have to go back and rewatch some of the extra material and everything. But yeah, and Loki, Kathy Starr brings up an interesting thing. Loki is wearing a Starfleet uniform.
Well, hey, we're talking Galaxy Quest here, so
True.
I just jumped over from another live stream, and
Yeah,
we're talking Picard, and I just figured, you know what, I'm gonna get an icon where Loki is in a Starfleet outfit, and it works. So
it works. It very much works.
So Kathy has got a good eye. Yes, indeed. That is Loki in a lieutenant commander's outfit.
Cool. Very, very cool. I will say I honestly like the design of the ship. I know we're kind of going to the minutiae here of the movie, but honestly, I love the design of the ship because I don't know what y'all think, but I think Seth MacFarlane borrowed just a little bit of design from Galaxy Quest from the NESA Protector for the Orville. What do y'all think?
I'm looking the ship up here.
Okay.
I actually haven't watched the Orville yet.
Okay.
Wow. I'm
All right. Well, here. Let me see if I can bring up a side by side of
the guy who only
the
watched
Orville.
Generation. Actually, is the only one here that watched the Orville. It's hilarious.
I don't know. I'm not a huge Seth MacFarlane fan. I kind of didn't want the. I was such a fan of Star Trek. I kind of, when I heard Seth MacFarlane was coming out with the Orville, it was like, do I want to watch this? Because I didn't know if it was going to be a whole bunch of inappropriate jokes like Family Guy in space. Because Family Guy, I saw bits and pieces, but then when American Dad came out, I was like, Seth MacFarlane seems to be a one-trick pony, and I wasn't interested in watching anything sci-fi that he came out with. But I'm willing to, if I hear enough people talk good about it, then I'm willing to give it a shot. But
I'll say this, and I don't want to. This is very off topic, so I'll just be very brief on this. That's a total worry that I think a lot of people had. I mean, I like Seth MacFarlane, so it wasn't too much of a worry for me, but I would say definitely, but by the mid part of season 1 and definitely season 2, it is not your typical Seth MacFarlane. And especially in season 2, he really kind of pulled back on his own character, and he's actually not really the focus of the whole season, which is
Seth loves Star Trek, guys.
Yeah.
He loves Star Trek. He loves Star Trek. He begged them to let him be on Enterprise. That's how much he loves Star Trek. Hey, just throw me in there as an ensign or something.
Okay, as you can see, this is an image of the ship from the Orville. So
it is reminiscent. It is reminiscent of the Protector. Yep, it's like
there's that. All right, now let me close that out, and then okay, hold on one second. Go ahead and talk amongst yourselves, gentlemen. This will take me about a minute.
Oh, no worries.
Well, I don't like dead air.
No. Well, maybe the central hull, I see that much. As far as the NSEA Protector versus the ship on Orville, I see the hull is similar.
I always got like a Voyager feel to the ship and to the Orville. I always thought it was kind of like a lot like Voyager,
like the elongated dish section. Yeah, it was a lot. It seemed a lot more stretched than the original Enterprise or any of the traditional Star Trek ships. Yeah, that was the one thing with Voyager. I like the design of Voyager more so than even the Enterprise E.
Agreed.
Yeah,
agreed.
Okay, and then there is the Protector from Galaxy Quest. Now, if you notice the main body of the ship, and if you remember the main body of the ship from the Orville, It's got that cylindrical, almost oval-shaped shape if you put them profile by profile one above the other. The only difference is the engines, the engine design, the nacelles. So I would definitely say that you've got Orville borrowing from Galaxy Quest. And I'm not going to say that's a bad thing, far from it. I would definitely say that the guys that did Galaxy Quest did borrow a little bit from Star Trek, at least for the interiors of the ship, not so much the exterior. So,
yeah, they all play off of each other, I think. That's a good thing. Yeah.
So, the other interesting thing about, well, and to go to, I forget who said it and everything, talking about Voyager. The thing you have to remember, the Voyager was actually supposed to be, it was supposed to be more of a combat vessel than it was supposed to be an exploration vessel, because it did have a much sleeker design. This was a new line of ships that Starfleet had started to build in response to what had been happening with the Borg and been happening with the Dominion and everything. Because if you remember, during the run of Voyager, there is I think it's with the Doctor, the holographic Doctor, where he gets transported somehow or another to the Prometheus, which was a very advanced prototype or design, which is was the first Starfleet ships that was almost a pure combat vessel, but it could split into 3 different parts, because at that point the war with the Dominion was going very, very poorly for them.
Yeah, that was called multi-vector assault mode.
Yeah. Honestly, I love the design of some of them. Well, the Defiant was another ship that was like that. The Defiant, the Voyager, the Prometheus. I'm sure there were others. You saw a few of the other variants and everything in at the beginning of First Contact, when the Borg decided to try and invade Earth again. Because even the new Enterprise had been designed more with a much more aggressive design.
Well, if you go off of old canon, there is a book before First Contact, and it's called Ship of the Line. And it's about the creation of the Enterprise E. And Kelsey Grammer's character, the captain that went back in time in TNG, and Scotty and Spock had design input. Scotty actually supposedly helped make the Enterprise E and helped fix the design flaws that were in the NX Sovereign, because the NX Sovereign never left space dock. It had design flaws, and that is why the Enterprise E is an actual ship of the line, because it's the first Sovereign class ship to leave space dock instead of the NX. I forget what the number was, but the NX Sovereign never left space dock until later. So that's why it looks more like the old school Star Trek ships, just elongated out, because the old designers are the ones that had that input and helped make that ship.
Yeah. Hey, George, welcome back. Sorry, I just saw you come back in, sir. Glad you got
Yeah, it was, sorry, everybody. It was a family emergency. It was good. It's just I had to be there to take care of things.
It's understandable, sir. As I've told my guests before, and Loki can vouch for this, family comes first. So, completely understand. Not a worry at all.
What a novel concept. I should write that down.
Hey, I try to take care of. I try to take care of my guests. I try to be sensitive to my guests and everything. Not overly sensitive like some people, but that's just me. But we were just talking about some of the similarities between Galaxy Quest and Orville and Star Trek and what have you. And I think that's what we had kind of diverged onto. But I think another interesting dynamic of the Galaxy Quest movie is you've got these actors who have obviously known each other for numerous years. And the relationship has obviously become strained among them, and it's honestly kind of sad because you get the feeling that for a while there they were actually very civil, they were almost familial in a manner of speaking, but something went sideways somewhere along the way, and you get Alan Rickman's character Alexander Dane brings that up when they're at the convention, and he's like, "You stole my best lines. You cut me completely out of episode 2," and you get the feeling that there's some animosity there, and I think that's justified. And
well, because you have Alan Rickman, Alan Rickman's character who is a classically trained man from the theater, and it's juxtaposed against I almost viewed Jason Nesmith's character as an opportunist. He never really, he sort of lucked into the role, and then you have Rickman, his character was classically trained, so it seemed to me that you had that conflict of two people who just viewed this as a gig and something fun, and hey, I've got all this fame and notoriety from this. And then you have Rickman, he's like, I take pride in my craft. You never considered this a craft. This is just whatever for you. And the two playing against each other, it added a really interesting dynamic, and it kind of makes me wonder, is that a parallel that actually took place in Star Trek? I don't know, is how much of this was taken from Star Trek, was it played up on? Because you wonder, I don't know. It just, but when I watched that, I got the sense that Jason Nesbitt's character maybe had some successes. He because he was the captain, he got the special treatment. Everybody else was the side characters. So you just seeing the effects of years of probably abuse and neglect from Tim Allen's character to everybody else. You seeing that wear on everybody's faces was just, it was interesting to pick this up at that point in their lives, but that's where the character arcs for everybody was really well developed, because you saw them at the beginning of the movie where they're at the convention at the state, where they hate each other. And then, each one of them goes through their own thing. Even Tech Sergeant Chen, he seemed like he didn't care about anything. And then at the end of the day, he decides to stay because he found something to care about. Finally, I took his attitude as more nihilism, like, "Oh, I'm in space. Yeah, that was a ride." He didn't care about anything anymore. Then at the end, even he found something to care about, and so it was, it hit on so many levels for me. It holds up too. I really think it does.
Yeah, and Adam and everything, Fanjecture just sent me this and everything. I'm going to share this real quick and everything. It's a nice little side-by-side of Orville and Galaxy Quest. So give me just 1 second here, fellas. So. Adam, thank you for finding that, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it's very similar, especially the front hull.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, the only differences you have are like with the engine nacelles, how they're designed and how they're positioned on the ship. And question for those of you that are familiar with the Orville, do they have some sort of warp speed or something along those lines, or is it how do they do their fast travel, or do they have faster than light travel for this?
Orville's got warp drive. Galaxy Quest had like a turbo boost, but you could only
they had a turbo boost, and they could use wormholes and everything, or what they call time knots to jump, I think is what it was called, because there's that scene and everything at the beginning where they're showing the old footage from the unseen episode, and I think it's Tommy Weber's character. For heaven's sake, I can't think of his name. He's like, "There's time knots opening up all around us, sir." So I'm guessing it's like time knots. Joe Lou, good evening, sir. Thank you for being here. That I guess that was how they did their faster than light travel, was they jumped through time, or they opened what they call the time knot. So, but I think one of the other neat things about Galaxy Quest was the fact, and that you had this ultimate device called the Omega 13. You had so many different ideas about what it actually did, and you had the Thermians who had their idea, and then of course you had us. You had Jason Long's character Brandon, who had his own theory about it. So.
And that was very specific too. Send you back 15 seconds in time. It was very specific idea, and it's amazing that Thermians were able to develop it and build it to do exactly that without having any idea of how it works, or
And that's a big thing about that movie that often gets overlooked because of the closeness with Star Trek. The Thermians were played so very well. But you look at them, look at the way they walk. All of them, they're like moving their arms up and down, and they're walking weird and talking weird. We need your help. That's because they're like squids. You see them in that first time when they're like and everybody's freaking out, and ensign guys like screaming because they've got a probe held up to his nose. But they were done so well, and the actors that did that did such a wonderful job portraying these aliens that, okay, well, think of how you would walk if you're a squid. Oh, move your arms up and down like this. And it's such a good job that I laughed my ass off when I saw them for the first time, because I knew, I was like, okay, these people they might look human, but they're not human. Something's up here. They're disguised or something. And then you see that, and we all need your help. And it's just so very alien. And the depth they went to with that was just beautiful. It was perfect.
There's only one scene that they messed up with that. There's a scene where Tony Shalhoub's character has to get the guts to actually transport man. And I don't know, maybe it was a reshoot or something, but they talk normal in that scene. It threw me off. I don't know if anyone else noticed that, but it totally threw me off. But otherwise, I love the choices that they made to just totally not be able to speak correctly. It's so uncomfortable, but it worked.
And I actually noticed that the leader was the most pronounced. That was the most exaggerated. But a couple of the other aliens, they actually did talk closer to normal, and I don't know whether that was just because they weren't able to pull it off as well, and they just told them just talk normal because it doesn't come across right, or whether maybe they were better at it. But that was one thing I noticed, that it wasn't across the board where they talked off. It was mostly the main character, and then of course there was the one girl that couldn't speak at all in English, which
Missy Pyle's character,
her translator.
Her translator
was broken.
Yeah. And just a quick hello to some people coming in the chat. Superhero reviews. Hey guys, stories by Irish. Hey, good to see you, my dear. Nice that you're here. And honestly, I honestly like the cast that they had for the main the one Thermians that we spend the most time with. They got some good actors and actresses for that. Because wasn't that the same guy that played Ensign Cole or Agent Coulson for Avengers? Or was that a different actor?
No, I think it was a different actor.
Was it a different? Yeah. Well, weird thing is they look somewhat similar, at least in the makeup he does.
Yeah. Can we talk about the transporter? How interesting that was?
Yes. We can talk about the transporter. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm actually going to get around to that. So absolutely.
I just want to add one thought about the way the aliens talk.
Sure.
If you notice that from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie, by the end of the movie, their speech patterns are becoming more and more Earth-like.
Yeah.
There was an actual transition of them learning throughout the movie until they were able to speak almost normal, Earth normal, that is.
Yeah.
So like the longer, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, the longer they were exposed to actual humans rather than just the historical records. They developed a more accurate speech pattern. Yeah, no,
it played to their what do you call it, their chameleon characteristics.
Yeah, absolutely. We can. Can you think of a more awkward way to be transported from one side of the galaxy to another? Now, maybe for a squid, a very intelligent squid, that would be perfect. But for us, that's traumatic as all hell.
Yeah, it's still a physical mode of transportation, but you're covered in a goo and shot through the entire galaxy. It's just through a wormhole. It has to be.
What's worse, do you think, being the amount of speed that you would have to be going in order to make it in some relative fast fashion, or being covered in goo like that? I'm not sure which one would be worse.
I imagine the goo would have to have some sort of disillusion of inertia. I mean, the goo would have to be part and parcel with you actually being able to achieve those speeds. But I'd rather not be doused in goo. I'll take a transporter any day. Just take me apart and put me back together on the other end. I don't want to physically fly through space.
Absolutely.
Well, from Nesbitt's perspective, it was like being shot out of a damn cannon or having an Acme rocket strapped to your back and lit on fire.
Lighting the fuse.
Yeah.
And doing that while you're hungover too. I couldn't imagine that.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's gotta be that would have to be interesting.
It's a good thing he put pants on before he did it too.
Yeah,
because he may have very well cracked himself.
The free balling scene at the beginning of that movie when he bends over, hey guys, let me look for that other shoe. Oh,
man. Yeah, that was a little awkward. Okay, very awkward. Let's be honest here, because they probably had never seen human genitalia.
We've acquired your limo. Yeah,
we have acquired your limousine. We have acquired your limousine. Oh, this is the thing about the thing. Okay. And he's like, do you have pages? You meet someone winging, and Galariara is like, I'm not sure. I don't understand you, sir. And then you get to the scene, the first interaction between him and Saris, and he's like, oh, okay, let's go. Red particle cannons full, blue particle cannons full, Gannett magnets, and then, well, here, why don't you just toss them to Tiger.
Well, you skipped over, switch to screensaver 2.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, I'm sorry for breaking character. Okay, yeah, I'll get it. You know what that actually reminded me of? When I was watching Star Trek, the reboot, the 2009, the Abrams one, when Kirk goes through the Kobayashi Maru, his laissez-faire attitude towards the Kobayashi Maru reminded me of Nesbitt's attitude towards that whole encounter.
Well, because he thinks he's just on a set somewhere in Hollywood. He doesn't realize his old bud's been transported into outer space.
I think I'm rewatching it right now, and I could be wrong, but I think the squids may be practical effects as well.
If they are, those were awfully good.
Yeah, no, I mean, if they're CGI, they're awful CGI. No, I mean they really look practical. There's not a lot of movement in the eyes, and they look like puppets. I could be wrong though. I don't know. I think the transitions are definitely CGI, obviously, but
I would agree with that.
I'll have to take a look to be sure, but they really look good. Just like the green aliens. I mean, the practical effects were fantastic in this.
Oh yeah, we talked about that a little bit. I especially like the robotic hand that Saris has in their second encounter. You will give me the. I gotta put my camera on for this part. You will produce the Omega-13 device, or I will destroy your ship. I don't know who played Saris, but man, that guy, he really brought it for that role. He did. He absolutely brought it for that role. I would say of 90s villains, like otherworldly or sci-fi villains, him and Goro from Mortal Kombat, they were good. They were
the guy's name is Robin Sachs. And
Oh, okay. I've honestly never heard of him, but he has.
me neither.
He has a very commanding presence. He's got a big personality. He's got a big voice.
Hey, Ambassador, hate to interrupt, but I've got to get going.
Okay.
Kind of quiet, but you guys have had me rolling over here.
Okay. Well, Flipped, I'm glad you're able to join us tonight. And as always, the door is always open. Anytime you want to be on a stream with me or vice versa, you are welcome. And thank you for coming tonight. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
Peace, man.
Take it easy.
He actually did some Babylon 5 episodes too.
Yeah, I'm looking at his IMDb. A Fall of Centauri Prime, Movements of Fire and Shadow, Walkabout, The Fall of Night, Alone in the Night. Wow.
Okay, I did not know that. Thank you.
And Points of Departure.
I'll have to go back. Does it say who he played or
and not three characters. Natak, War Leader, Nakal, and Hedron.
Okay.
I remember those characters.
I do too. Yeah, they were Narn. I think War Leader Jatak and everything was definitely Narn. But yeah, the darn, I learned something new about Babylon 5 tonight. I did not know. So, Brian Hill, villains that he liked, the Borg Queen or the dude from Event Horizon. You're talking about Sam Neill's character, the Doctor, when he goes crazy. I never cared for Event Horizon. The only part about that thing that remotely left an impression was the part where they show the recording of the ship going to hell, or it goes to the hell dimension, or whatever you want to talk about. That's the only part that kind of freaked me out. The rest of it, it was okay. So,
what about the aliens from Fifth Element?
Oh man, I'm either gonna have to do a video or do a stream on Fifth Element.
That's another case of practical effects that really works.
The Mangalores.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Here is your mission now, priest.
Yeah. I feel like the late '90s was a great time for practical effects.
Yeah.
How can I say? Like, there's something to be said for a gigantic rubber suit, with an animatronic face. There really is. There's a certain charm to it, and I don't think the CGI is fine, but give me a giant green rubber suit any day.
Yeah.
Any good mercenary would have asked about the little red button on the bottom of the gun.
Man, Gary.
Yes.
Oh, this may evolve into a Fifth Element stream.
Save it. You got to do it separate. You got to be separate.
Yeah, gotta do Fifth Element on its own. Yeah, we can't do it because that would require a stream of its own because that one is just too good. Actually, that might be next week's stream.
Chicken good.
Yeah.
Multipass.
Multipass.
Okay, save it for guys.
Oh, sorry.
I'll mute you. Don't make me.
As much as I like Galaxy Quest, I love Galaxy Quest, but the Fifth Element is immensely more quotable.
I want all the movies.
Yeah, show all of them.
Okay.
I want all positions.
Yeah, Kathy, the lady has spoken. The whole show for Fifth Element. Yes, we will. Next, all right. Put this on the books. Anything, Shea? Put this on the books for next week for Ambassadorial Wing, Fifth Element stream.
Was I green? Oh, you were so green. Super really? What kind of green? Emerald
Loki?
green. Emerald green.
Loki, I will mute you. Don't make me do it.
I gotta say, next to Friday, that was my favorite role Chris Tucker's ever played.
Yes.
Man.
Yes.
No. Second favorite role besides Ruby Rod, the detective from Rush Hour.
Oh.
They had to convince Rock to play that character on Fifth Element.
Did they really?
Oh yeah, when he looked at, he says, "Yeah, sure, I can do the character," and all that. But when he saw the costume, he was like, "Oh hell no!"
Okay, we'll have to save this. Yeah, we'll definitely have to save all these little gems and everything for next week for Fifth Element for the Fifth Element stream. But oh man, that's gonna be a fun one. Oh boy, I can almost see it in my head. I'm gonna have to rewatch it now.
And listen, I've been listening while I was away on Galaxy Quest. You know, the one common thing that's kind of it was good and bad at the same time is that the ships in Star Trek, the ships in Galaxy Quest, Orville, Babylon 5, practically all the ships, they have walking room. They have nice, spacious, walking room. And it's like every single time I'm going like, in the back of my head, I'm always thinking, there's no freaking way any engineer would design his ships with that much walking room. I mean, the space on a spaceship is premium, so every area has to be used.
I was watching that earlier, and the scene where he goes into the barracks and it just stretches on for like and they're all bending over with their hand on their chest, and then they stand. He's like at ease, and they stand up straight and relax. Yeah, that barracks goes from like one side of the ship all the way over to the other side of the ship, and beyond that.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Orville Nation,
just like
greetings,
that.
Sir.
Just like that elevator in was it Star Trek 5, I think it was, that the elevator that went on forever. Oh my gosh. The elevator shaft, that's right. The elevator shaft that went on forever, and then when the camera stops, you go, oh, it was only like 5 floors.
It goes sideways and byways and upways and downways.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, this is not Willy Wonka. Because talking about ship design, if you realize one of the first times, Pippin, shut up.
Oh,
sorry,
I thought that was
our hamster.
Sorry,
no, it's my hamster and everything. He likes to run on his wheel while Daddy is streaming.
That's all right. I have a visitor as well. I don't know.
He's a kid. We had to take our cat to the vet today. Nothing's wrong with him. It was just his yearly checkup and everything. Got all of his shots and everything. So, but PJ, thank you for coming. Appreciate you stopping by. Hope you enjoy the stream, bud. Sorry I couldn't get LegCon tonight. Had three dozen other things to do, including this. If we go all the way back to like one of the earliest science fiction movies and everything that we have on record, and that being Forbidden Planet, space on that ship was at a premium. It was very tight quarters, very close quarters. And if you jump ahead to like 2001, again, you've got a lot of very claustrophobic feel for all those ships and everything. Even though it seems like there's a lot of space on the Discovery, I think it's the name of it and everything. The ship in 2001 that's going to is it Jupiter? Yeah, it's Jupiter. A lot of the space on that ship and everything is at a premium, and I think that's because Kubrick had brought in a lot of conceptual designers and people that had worked in the space field or space industry to say, okay, what could these look like in the future? And then they went ahead and they, PJ, that's our hamster, named Pippin because his hair is the same color as Peregrine Took. So,
but what in space, if you were gonna let's say that you could build a spaceship out in space, would space be at a premium? I could see a submarine. You want to keep it as small and as compact as possible, so the quarters wouldn't necessarily be small. But in a spaceship out in space, where you don't have to worry about, there are no such concerns. Like, wouldn't you build it as comfortable as possible, especially when you get to something far enough like the Enterprise E, which was supposed to be a luxurious model?
I mean, if you have,
the Enterprise D was more luxurious. It was more of a Doki Doki.
Oh, sorry.
Well, actually, in a submarine, you're worried that everything will implode. In space, you're worried everything will explode. So, um, the structure would have to contain the outward forces. So, it's one or the other. The space will still be a premium. So if you have a tight, woven base structure that's holding the spaceship together and from expanding, it's more rigid, more solid, more well designed than a ship that would have we call struts and a skeleton that's much wider, because then what you're going to have is stress fractures.
Yeah, George hits it on the head. I don't want to bring up Picard because we're not talking about Picard, but if you watch the very first episode of Picard, in the first 5 minutes, the windows, which do not exist on a starship, the windows explode into the ship and shred Picard and Data. That does not happen, and there are no windows. Windows would be a huge structural weakness. What you've got in Star Trek is transparent titanium, transparent steel, all of that. You do not have glass windows, and if they exploded, they would explode outward, not in.
Yeah.
Everything in your ship wants to get out. So your structural integrity.
Yeah, because because the ships are pressurized.
Yeah. It wants to get out, not in. Whereas, like it was said earlier, submarine implodes, ship in space would explode out. So your structure is everything. As far as room goes, yes, technically you could have a lot of room, but then again, look at like Battlestar Galactica. Everything was cramped. Everyone's quarters were cramped. The only person on the ship that had room in their quarters was Adama. That was it. Even the XO had a small little tin can he lived in with his wife. Room was at a premium because you've got all the systems, you've got ammunition, you've got people, you've got water, you've got whatever you need to survive in space, and everything's going to be at a premium.
And I'll add that in the shots or the scenes where John Sheridan in the war with the Minbari, his ship. You look at all the scenes in his ship; it's all compact.
Yeah,
and when
I was actually going. Yeah, go ahead, George.
And when the Black Star came into view, you were right there with him, and then and every environment around him was so compact. Everything was literally at arm's reach.
Yeah, because George is talking about the TV movie in the beginning, which is honestly the first chronological thing that you should watch if you're going to watch Babylon 5 properly, because it goes in the beginning, and then you have the pilot, the gathering, and then you got the show proper. The second TV movie was Third Space, and then there was two TV movies that wrapped up the series and everything, because unfortunately they kind of had to compact season 4 and 5 and everything, because season 4 was only supposed to have the war with the Shadows and the Vorlons, and season 5 was supposed to be the war against Clark. And they had to compact because Straczynski thought that they weren't going to get a 5th season, but then TNT came in and said, we'll fund your 5th season if you do some TV movies for us, and Straczynski was all for it.
Yeah, River of Souls, Call to Arms, and the last movie was Legend of the Rangers.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see that, though. We live for the one, we die for the one.
Yeah.
Love that. Love Babylon 5. I'm actually going to be restarting my review of the series next week. I'm going to start with the TV movie. But yeah, and it's interesting because we've got all these science fiction properties that have interwoven together. Everything in a manner of speaking, with how they've designed their worlds, how they've designed their universes, and their ships. And they all borrow in one form or another, they all differ in one way or another from one another.
The one constant is, though, the suspension of disbelief when it comes to artificial gravity. Nobody, that's the one thing. Everything is, if you had those ships that were tight and compact, you could really make use of the space in 360 degrees because there wouldn't actually be any gravity. So I could see it being more compact. But the sci-fi ships are basically like cruise ships in space, which that's the big thing there. But the artificial gravity is the one constant where it's glossed over.
The one series that really does address it is Babylon 5. They do address that very heavily and everything. And speaking for the dead, greetings, sir. Glad you could join us tonight. The interesting thing about Babylon 5 is they actually have explanation for how artificial gravity is produced on Earth Force vessels and stations, and that's because you've got those sections that rotate that produce gravity. If you look at the big Omega class destroyer ships, they've got that giant like pendulum arm or whatever that rotates midship, or anything that generates gravity. And Delenn tells them that we will be able to, once they start to form the Interstellar Alliance, they start sharing technology, because you realize the Minbari, the Centauri, the Narn, all the different other races of the League of Non-Aligned Worlds, they all have artificial gravity on their ships. I mean, obviously the Vorlons did. The Shadows, I guess they would have if they actually manned their own ships, but they, as far as I know, the Shadows never did. They all used who did we lose? Oh, Loki. Okay.
I'm here.
Okay. Oh, dang it. Okay, sorry.
I was here. I don't know what happened, but I was here.
Okay, you're in, bud. You're good. All those ships, all those other races, they had artificial gravity, which kind of harkened to their advancement and everything. But the only race that actually offers to give humanity artificial gravity, and that's later on and everything, is the Minbari. Because the Centauri certainly don't. The other races don't. It's the Minbari and everything because, well, there's a whole thing with humanity and the Minbari. But I'll get into that with my when I get into Babylon 5 again, because I've honestly missed talking about that show, but been busy. So, but the cool thing I think about Galaxy Quest is it brings so many different franchises to bear, and it brings so many different dynamics to bear, because you've got the whole dynamic amongst the cast of characters and everything in the movie itself, and everything of the crew, and then you bring in the fans, and in particular Justin Long's character Brandon, and you have that relationship and everything between the fans and then the actors. And the other dynamic, obviously, is you have the actors interacting with the Thermians. And the Thermians are really the outsiders here. They're the ones that are playing the most of the cast from the show. But that's just my theory.
The whole Justin Long thing is funny. It's such a this is where I have some issues with the movie. Again, just total nitpick. Mm-hmm. It's such a coincidence that everything just fell into place at the end. I don't know. I felt like the third act in this was a little contrived, a little rushed. And here's the thing. How many people do you think died at the end of this movie when the ship crashed? That was the first thing that came to my mind. We went through a giant parking lot, just knocking cars everywhere, and it drove into a building of a room that I guess it's supposed to be like a Hall H, and that's usually like not on like the side of the building. That's like in the center, the heart of a convention center, and that thing just barreled through. I'm just like, oh my god, people gave crap to Man of Steel for people dying, and then this movie,
and then you have this.
Thousands are dead.
Hundreds are killed today in a freak accident when a ship apparently from outer space crashed into a convention hall for a TV show that's been off the air for like 20 years or so.
Yeah, I want to see the post-credit scene of them explaining and doing the insurance work for having to deal with all of that happened afterwards.
And the fact that you still have the host on the stage introducing people. Oh, here they are. Never mind the giant gaping hole in the ceiling. You know,
nothing to see here.
Chen, yeah.
Tech Sergeant Chen.
And this is Guy. Yeah. It was a nice appearance by McDonald. Oh my god, I can't remember his first name.
Yeah.
Kids in the Hall.
Yeah.
It's coming off. I guess coming off of the back of Brain Candy. This probably would have been like 3 years after Brain Candy. Kids in the Hall.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I remember Kids in the Hall.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, Kids in the Hall was fantastic. But
yep.
But you're right though. Like the nonsensical nature of that, the ending of the third act. You know, like yeah, you could stage this stuff, but nobody's staging a ship like crashing through a roof. So yeah, there was a little suspension of disbelief, but
yeah. I mean, this is the type of movie like I love this movie, so me harping is just really nitpicking because one of those movies where like if you really thought too hard on this and you started pulling threads, the whole thing is gonna fall apart. But you just it's so lighthearted that's the charm of the whole thing.
Did you ever get the feeling that the Thermians worshipped Tech Sergeant Jen because they greet themselves to everybody else? They're like, "Oh, Cal Noredo, how you've grown," and they all repeat, the leader. And then they get to Tech Sergeant Jen, and they're like, oh, "Tech Sergeant Jen," like he's like.
Well, if you think about it, Tech Sergeant Shin acts the most like a Thermian in a manner of speaking, because his acting and his dialogue is very stilted. It's almost like they mimic him more than they do anybody else. But once they get around the other actors, as George had brought up previously, the way that they speak, the way that they move becomes much more humanoid in a manner of speaking, even though their natural form is very unhumanoid.
And he almost seemed to be the one that embraced the reality the most too, because you saw him work with the Thermians where they were like, guys, they say that we can, and it's like, oh, let's do that. Oh, like
technobabble.
And he actually like, buys into it.
And he's like, guys, that's right again.
That's right again.
Group hug.
Yeah.
Group hug.
He gets off the transporter. He's like, whoa, that was cool. And
no. Loki, if you're going to quote it right, he said, well, that was a hell of a thing.
Yeah, that was a hell of a thing. He's like, you want to see the ship? Come on. He's like, yeah.
I want to see the ship. And I actually thank you for bringing up Tech Sergeant Chin because, Speaker, you're good, man. I know you work weird hours, so no worries, man. We haven't discussed the elephant in the room, Mary speaking, but bringing up Tech Sergeant Chen, the whole interspecies relationship with him and Lariara. What are y'all's thoughts on that?
Oh, the tentacle going up his nose? Yeah, that was a little, yeah.
Went somewhere.
Yeah, it went somewhere.
Tom Rockwell was very disturbed.
I guess as long as she keeps her form modulator on, I guess it's okay. I mean,
well, but the thing is, if you remember, after he successfully teleports Garignac in there to smash up all of Ceres's troops, he just kind of goes for it and everything. He's like, because her tentacles start to come out, and he just goes, ooh, and he just dives right in.
Yep. That she still got her form on. She's still got her form on, so those tentacles are coming out of somewhere.
Yeah, and she becomes a cast regular at the reboot.
She's called
Jane Doe, right?
It's Jane Doe plays Lariara, so it's almost a reversal of her identity in a matter of speaking. But here's the thing, because you have a human getting it on with an alien. Now that's something I don't think they could get away with nowadays, because I think a lot of people would lose their crap.
And love is love.
Well, the amazing thing is, what I see, like, you see these things in the old movies where they would throw stuff like this out, and nobody really cared back when this stuff was made. But now everybody get their hackles in an uproar where I look at something like, not to go off on a tangent, but I look at something like Solo,
No.
where the jokes that L3 would make and the jokes that Lando would make, that would play back in the late 80s and the 90s, and nobody would have said anything. But now everybody has to make a huge deal about it. So, yeah. So, no, I don't think you could probably do that today.
Wrong. You're dead on with that. A guy having sex with a robot in Solo or whatever,
Lando
definitely is an 80s, 90s thing for sure. Like no one would have batted an eye.
And it's just funny, but now it's this huge deal. Yeah.
Well, do any of you remember? I did not see this movie. I saw a review for it when I used to watch Nostalgia Critic. Star Killer: The Legend of Orin. Does anybody remember that? It was an old animated 80s movie. There's a character in there called Dag who reprograms a female robot, and she turns into a complete and total. Well, in the manner of speaking, she becomes very loose. Let's put it that way. That could have almost been the inspiration for Lando and L7, I think it's called.
Yeah.
L7 or L9 or whatever it is.
L7 was a band, but I think it was L3
311.
Yeah, L311. Yeah, that's just down. Yeah. But I didn't get the impression that Lando had a thing for L3. I thought she thought there was a little something there, but he never gave me the hint that he was into that sort of thing. Oh, hi, Bella. How are you? My cat says hi.
Oh, that's okay, Jason. It's all good, man. I've got a hamster in here. Of course, we have a hamster and a cat. We always have to keep the cat away from the hamster because he might try and eat him.
Well, it was always like the inside joke that Lando would go after anything. Now we know Lando will go after anything. Toaster, a blender, an ice cream maker, L337, doesn't matter. He'll go for anything.
Don't knock those ice cream blenders until you try it.
Speaker brings up something a little disturbing.
She's got a point. He's got a point, though.
I never saw that. Wasn't that a Guillermo del Toro movie? The Shape of Water.
It was nominated for Best Picture too. I think it may have won too.
It was like a mer person from what
something like that.
It's Merman.
It's Merman, Dad.
Merman.
We'll save that for another stream. I'll save it for a video. Let me have my Zoolander, guys.
All he had to do was turn left. Sorry.
Prison changed me.
I'm guessing that's from the second one. I never saw the second one.
Yes, that's Mugato in prison.
Yeah,
he's
Mugato.
Like huge and muscular, and he's like, prison changed me. And then he rips off the muscle suit, and he's got like the old Mugato suit underneath. Yeah.
Yeah. Jacobi Mugato. Jacob Moogberg.
Are we going on a tangent? Because we could probably do that. We could probably quote that one for hours. What is this? A center for ants?
How can we speak? You are the first person besides myself to get that part of that quote right.
Oh, no. It's got to be at least 3 times this size.
What is this? A center for ants?
He's right.
How can we be expected to teach children how to read if they can't fit inside the building? This building has to be 3 times this size.
Oh, he's right, Jacques.
Yes, he is.
Oh,
Thank you.
God, that's another classic.
Oh man, Zoolander, yes, absolute classic.
Mm-hmm.
Campy as all hell, but a classic.
Well, Ambassador, you gotta wonder. Have you ever wondered if there was more to life other than being really, really ridiculously good looking?
Yes, it's called faith.
Oh crap!
You opened the door. I just stepped right through it, and I brought the fire with me. Oh goodness. Wow, this took us down a rabbit trail. We started talking about Tech Sergeant Chan Lariara, and we cut off onto.
Oh, Speaking of tangents, well, it's actually maybe bringing it back a little bit. The Garignac scene when the little creatures are chanting Garignac, Garignac,
Garignac.
Did anybody watch The Mandalorian and feel like they pulled that scene when they were chanting for the egg?
Oh yeah,
Suka,
oh, yeah.
Suka,
Oh, yeah.
Suka, Suka. It was like
Now
I was
that
like, I
you
know
bring
this. I was like,
now
this
that you-
is yeah.
Now that you bring it up, Jason, yeah, that does sound so.
You know what else I
George?
thought was Star Warsy was when they were going through that gauntlet. I had shades of Padme Amidala running through her little gauntlet.
Oh, the Droid Factory.
The
Yeah.
Droid Factory
Yeah.
in episode 2. Yeah, yeah. Well,
I forget what episode that was of The Mandalorian, but I brought that up when I did my review, and I did it like that morning. As soon as it aired, I brought that up with the Jawas chanting and feeling like it was off of
Galaxy Quest.
Galaxy
Galaxy
Quest, the Garignac scene. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, it definitely was. That was a good call.
One of
Because I
my,
haven't seen anybody else talk about that, but that's
one
it
of
was
my
like a direct
all-time
thing.
favorite quotes. Except the creature is inside out, and it exploded.
And it exploded.
It exploded. Did you just say the creature turned inside out and it exploded?
Hold, please.
Hold, please.
No, please.
That's exactly why practical effects work so much better. Like it just would not have the same effect if it was CG.
No, it wouldn't have. It would have not. It would not have worked as well as it did.
Exploded all over them.
Oh man.
Oh, that is just not right, man.
That exploded upside down creature reminded me of the Wood Beast from Flash Gordon, where he had to stick his hand down. Has anybody seen Flash Beast? Yeah, and it's
I own.
Yeah.
I own Flash Gordon. I love that movie. Love. I actually may watch a movie before I go to bed tonight.
Oh, Flash Gordon's fantastic.
Oh,
And I don't want to hear Flash Gordon's fantastic in a good, bad way. No, Flash Gordon's fantastic in a good way. That movie's fantastic. Anybody who's like, oh, it's such a bad movie, but it's so good. No, it's not bad. No, that movie was fantastic. The art, the cinematography, and Sam Jackson, it was fantastic. But there's another tangent.
I think you mean Sam Jones.
Sam Jones, yeah.
Sam Jones.
Oh yeah.
I meant Sam Jackson. Well, no,
I can see Max von Sydow, and while they were doing Flash Gordon, doing the exact same lines that Alexander did in Galaxy Quest. That was 5 couldn't calls. I was an actor once, damn it.
Yeah, I was an actor.
Now look at me.
Look at me.
Look at me. I can't go out there.
I
now
will
look
not
at me. I'm watching midgets throw a green football at a guy. Yeah.
Yeah, something interesting about Galaxy Quest is that it was making fun of Star Trek and all that stuff, but it was also making fun of what happened outside of Star Trek.
Oh yeah,
and the angst,
the infighting,
between the actors and stuff. There's a scene where Tim Allen, he's in the men's room and he was overhearing the cast of Galaxy Quest, talking crap about him and all that stuff.
Well, it was just a couple of random fans that were actually talking crap about the. But they bring up the fact that the rest of the crew, the rest of the cast, hates its guts.
Yeah, and that scene actually mirrored a real life event that William Shatner experienced in a convention.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, because Shatner freaked out, kind of like Jason or Tim Allen's character did there. And I think because they were talking all this tech stuff, and there he's like, "Guys, it's just I think he says an effing show," or something to that effect.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely fascinating. I mean, it was drop dead funny, but it was fascinating that they actually delved deep into personal off camera drama to add more volume and flavor into the story.
Well, if you remember, I don't know if anybody remembers this, Shatner and Nimoy had beef for years after Wrath of Khan because Shatner was kept in the dark about the end of the movie. with the torpedo tube on the planet and Spock doing the narration and then them hiring him to direct Search for Spock, he was pissed because he thought Spock was dead. He gave this big performance and then he was like, you bastards kept me in the dark. And he had beef with Nimoy for that for years after that.
Holy smokes. I didn't know that.
Really?
That's awesome.
He took that out on Nimoy because Nimoy was they handed the director Nimoy was allowed to direct the next movie after that, and Shatner didn't want him to do that. Oh wow!
Well, here's the thing: if you think about it, Nimoy directed, well, arguably 2 of the best TOS movies. Now, Search for Spock is good; it's got its weaker points, but it is good. And everything, but Nimoy did 2 of the best known ones. Or anything that's 4 and 6.
Yeah,
Voyage Home and Undiscovered Country. And the one that Shatner does
5.
5. Well,
hold on a sec. Don't laugh. Let me throw this at you. What happened with Shatner? It wasn't. He had a good script. There was a strike in Hollywood, and he had to do what he had to do with that product, and that's one thing. But the one thing that's not a lot of people really paid attention regarding the Search for Spock, the novelization for the Search for Spock, you literally have to go halfway into the novel to get to the first scene of the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there was that much of it was left out of the motion picture.
It was. I'm going, okay, great. I love Search for Spock. I'm going to go read the novel and all that stuff for a book report in high school. And I'm going like, okay, I'm reading. I'm going like, what the hell is this? What the hell is going on here? I'm like, I'm reading this, and there's none of the scenes are in the movie. And then halfway in the movie, it's like, holy shit, the first scene of the movie is right here. And the other half of the novel is the movie itself.
Yeah, if I didn't say it right earlier, William Shatner did not know about the end of Wrath of Khan. They did a test screening and people walked out sad as shit. There was no pod on Genesis. There was no narration by Spock. They did the funeral. Kirk talked about feeling young, and that was the end of the movie. And everybody walked out with their heads down. Like, shit, that's it. This is the end. And they went to Nimoy secretly without anybody else knowing about it and redid the last 2 minutes of the end of the movie so that his torpedo tube ends up on Genesis and you hear him saying the narration like, well, maybe there's hope for Spock. Where the whole time he was playing it like he's dead. We're never going to have Spock again. This is it. This is the end. I'm going to give everything I've got in this final scene. And nobody told him. And Nimoy didn't tell him until he saw it. That's why he was pissed off at Nimoy. It was because even Nimoy didn't tell him that they changed the end of the movie.
Yeah, man. This is like Empire Strikes Back. I am your father. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Knowing you. I mean,
That's right.
It was a simple voiceover, and there was, I think it was like 5 people all together, an entire production of thousands. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because I think at the time he said, "No, Obi-Wan killed your father." It was what Hamill thought he did. Yeah, so
that's actually what David Prowse said on set.
Yeah, that's right.
But you obviously have James Earl Jones recording the dialogue for that scene. Is that that was a huge mother of a secret. That was like one of the biggest twists of all time up until that point with cinema, with sci-fi of any type. I mean, we've had some big reveals like that in previous years, but that still stands as an icon of a great twist.
Oh yeah, there's no way they would be able to pull something off like this now.
No, because there's too many ways for it to get leaked.
Yeah, I mean, there was great moments like that. I mean, I remember there's a few great moments in the 80s and the late 70s that kind of surprised the heck out of you. The first one that I remember vividly was the oversized comic books, Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man. Didn't see that one coming. The Empire Strikes Back, didn't see that scene coming. In Aliens, James Cameron, the scene where they pop the ceiling panel and they're looking around, didn't see that coming. I mean, just like moments like that, absolutely fantastic. Fantastic. And today it's like, I know a friend of mine who owns a visual effects company, and he does this often. He says, you know what? If all of you keep your mouth shut, and nothing gets leaked, in what you're seeing and working on right now, until it goes public, you got an extra bonus. And it's like everyone is keeping their mouth shut. I mean, money works. I mean, seriously, it really works.
Well, and you could obviously tell that everybody that was working on this movie, that they, for one reason or another, they had a love for science fiction or a passion to do this movie and do it well. And I think the fact is they has had legs for 20 years. Well, 20 years last year, it'll be 21 years this year. That still holds up, that people still talk about it, that people still watch it, what have you. And people regard it as a great science fiction film, but also a great comedy. I mean, I would say that this honestly is not as just a great science fiction film, but it is a great comedy. I'd put it up there. If I was going to make a listing, I've made lists in the past. I've just never publicized them or anything. Of great comedies, I would put, I would obviously put Spaceballs in that list, but I would also put Galaxy Quest on that list, because this is a great comedic movie as well as being a great science fiction movie.
So the one thing I like about this movie versus Spaceballs is it's a great movie first, and then a great comedy sci-fi movie. Spaceballs is great. Don't get me wrong. I love Mel Brooks. But Spaceballs is more on the nose parody. This is almost a thematic parody where you still have characters that have good arcs and well-written characters, well-acted characters. And it's really a complete movie where, like, I think nowadays where people try to do parody movies, they're one-note movies. But this was something that was a great movie first, and then a great sci-fi movie parody second.
Apparently Mel Brooks went to George Lucas asking for his permission to have a whole lot of Star Wars gags in Spaceballs, and George said yes, as long as you don't do merchandising.
Yeah, pretty much. But he did a spoof of merchandising.
May the Schwartz be with you. Yeah.
Spaceballs. The flamethrower.
I still want my
kids love this.
Yeah, I want one.
Spaceballs, the lunchbox. Spaceballs, the toilet paper. Spaceballs, the bed sheets. Spaceballs, the cereal. Spaceballs, the book.
Lunchbox. Don't forget the lunchbox. And it was a Transformers lunchbox too.
Yeah,
it wasn't a Spaceballs one. It was actually a Transformers lunchbox.
Yeah, either way. But yeah.
Spaceballs is another one. She's gone from suck to blow. That's immensely quotable. Spaceballs is immensely quotable.
You think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I see your Schwartz is as big as mine. Now let's see how well you handle it.
I am your cousin, sister's brother's roommate from college. What does that make us? Absolutely nothing, which is what you are about to become.
Hey, here's something. I just went to IMDb and looked for trivia, and what do you call it? Sigourney Weaver's character in the story. It says 6 paragraphs of my boobs and how they fit.
They fit into my suit.
That actually.
Nobody asked me what I actually do on the show. Yeah. And Fred's like, I know this. I repeat the computer, Fred. I repeat the computer. That's all I do.
That scene actually is from a real life moment where Jerry Ryan, who played 7 on 9, experienced in real life.
That would not surprise me.
Yeah.
That would honestly not surprise me. Because, okay, I'm going to just say this. Sigourney Weaver, she has done some great movies in her career, and I don't think she realizes just how wonderful of a performance she gave in Galaxy Quest as Gwen DeMarco. Tawny Masson, I think, is the name of her actual character on the TV show Galaxy Quest. And you see her doing photo ops with young girls there at the convention and everything. You're thinking, there's somebody who doesn't take themselves so seriously and somebody who's very down to earth. And she knows how to show appreciation for her fans. Mm-hmm. And you just have to go, Sigourney, why'd you have to give that stupid speech at the Oscars the other night? Or a few weeks ago?
What'd she say? I mean, I didn't see it.
All women are superheroes, and she's staying up there with Gal Gadot and Brie Larson. You're thinking, Gal Gadot almost had this expression on her face like, why am I up here with these two idiots? And I love Sigourney Weaver as an actress. She has done some great movies that I absolutely love. But for her to get up there and say something so monumentally dumb.
Yeah, let's all appreciate that Gal is a military. You know.
Yes.
Yeah. And she's weapons grade military hotness as well.
I will wholeheartedly agree with you. Not to mention, that young lady can act.
Ambassador, it's called screaming for relevance.
Because
Sigourney, she's just not relevant anymore.
And that's sad because she's a good actress. She can do good stuff. Yes.
Wait till Avatar 2, 3, and 4 come out. She'll be back.
What is it?
Avatar 2, 3, and 4.
Oh, please.
No, she died. How the hell are they going to bring her back? She died. Unless they do flashbacks or something.
She's a spirit. She's part of the tree spirit.
Oh, no, they did. James Cameron, you maniac.
She's going to be pulling an Obi-Wan in the second movie.
So they're going to have ghosts in Avatar.
Who cares? I mean, James, what's it? Like, it's going to be 20 years since the last movie? I mean, I'm still working on it. And then was it a couple of years ago? He finally confessed, yeah, we're animating the movie. Before that, they said no, it was just motion capture. There's no manipulation of the data. And one of the chief animators for that movie actually had an interview where they said, yeah, we have to actually clean up all the motion capture. It's ridiculous how much cleanup we have to do.
Oh, for pity's sake.
I mean, isn't that example of a franchise that is like too little, too late? I mean, why would you bother at that point? Like, I mean, does anybody honestly still
Oh, come on!
Is that movie still relevant?
When Aquaman came out, or James Cameron, the only thing James Cameron said publicly is, "Well, they didn't get the water dynamics correctly." And the first thing I thought, he's just jealous because they came up with a great underwater movie that he was looking to do.
Oh, I don't know. I think that's gonna
hit after hit.
I don't usually like to get negative on my streams or anything that I do, but here's the thing. I can see them. Okay, it came out in 2011, the first one? The first Avatar? It came out in 2011, didn't it? 2011? Well, no, I'm not talking date. I'm not talking a specific date, but I'm just talking here. I think it came out in 2011 because that's when I started.
Yeah, it was a Tuesday.
I get that reference, George.
2009.
Okay, yeah, it was 2009. Okay, yeah, because I just met my now ex-wife in 2009. Because we actually went and saw that. We saw it in the brand new 3D that they had done for it. And it was good. I mean, the story was okay and everything, but the visuals, that's the one thing that really sucked you in.
Oh, come on. It was Space Dances with Wolves.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I will. I will wholeheartedly.
So many people like that movie. There's so many people that like that movie, and there's so many people that are going to go back and see a second one. You watch. I'm telling you.
And that very well may be the case. And you know what? I don't want us to see a movie bomb, but what the hell has Cameron been working on that's so bleeding important?
Oh, I'll tell you. Technically speaking, he's producing these movies in China. China doesn't have good animators.
Dirty.
I know this because I've dealt in the markets with people, we call studios sending stuff over to India, China, Sri Lanka, you name it, right? And every time the data comes back, the people here in North America literally have to redo the work and clean it up. So the work is done twice. But the idiots that are managing this the whole process, all they have to do is just keep all the work in North America, right? And
I would agree.
It'll be great. Pay the animators top dollar, and they still end up coming up on time and way under budget. But they don't get that.
For years, I thought Avatar was the last in a trilogy. You had Dances with Wolves, Last Samurai, and then Avatar. So I thought for years it was just, it's the future, It's the trilogy. You start out with Dances with Wolves, Last Samurai, and then Avatar.
My gosh, Loki, that is actually a great theory.
You know what? That's legit. I'm going to hold.
That is a great, Loki. That is a great theory. You could actually make an argument that could work.
Yeah,
you could. Yeah, I could totally see that because Dances with Wolves takes place before the events of Last Samurai. Last Samurai takes place obviously before Avatar, and then of course you've got Avatar. And I will say, Speak for Dead brings up one thing. And besides Abyss, James Cameron has done some really good movies. He has. I will give the man his credit.
I like the Abyss.
I love the Abyss.
Okay. The Abyss is it was groundbreaking. The way he shot everything. I mean, he literally used color to give you underwater simulation. I'm going like, holy smokes.
And I love the extended edition where you get some more interaction between Ed Harris's character and the aliens.
Yes,
it makes the aliens a little more menacing, which honestly I liked. I did. I liked the fact that the aliens were a little more menacing, in the Abyss and everything. More, they weren't so just purely benevolent or anything. They had a little tinge of benevolence to them, which I could appreciate.
And you know what? One of the elements in the Abyss is that breathable water. And that in itself, led so much credibility to the reality of the shots. You couldn't walk away from it feeling like they put themselves in jeopardy putting this film together.
Well, yeah, and the way they explain that is so perfect too. Like, well, you breathed water when you were a baby. You breathed it for so many months when you were a baby. You just got to teach your lungs how to do it. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, amniotic fluid essentially. So yeah, that was a great concept. Not to mention the cast for that movie, I thought was top notch as well. That's definitely what I'm going to have to go back and do a review on or do a video on or something. Is the Abyss. Dang. Now that we talked about a great movie, bag idea for 2 more streams or a couple more videos for this.
There you go.
But yeah. I don't know how I feel about this new Avatar. I know we're kind of gotten away a little bit from Galaxy Quest, but honestly, I don't know how I feel about this new Avatar. I feel like it's going to be coming out way, way too late because think about this. This movie came out in 2009. I was off by a couple of years. I'll freely admit it. Most people who went to see this if they were young are in their late teens, if not going into their 20s at this point. If I'm doing my math right, I think I am. How many of them are really going to remember Avatar?
No. The question is, it's not really if they're going to remember Avatar. That's a given. DVD playbacks, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Internet. But the thing is, who's going to care? I mean, between
That's what I was. That was
between 2009 and now. What did we get? We got what was it? The Hobbit. We got Avengers, Civil War, Endgame, all that stuff.
I mean, we got pretty much the MCU. the entire,
MCU.
Like, the heyday of the MCU's happened.
Exactly.
Well, hell's bells.
We got so much eye candy coming out of the movies that are around us right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're so spoiled.
Star Wars.
Yeah, that too.
Sure.
Sorry, I got something stuck in my teeth. Oh yeah,
okay.
it's Skywalker. Oh, nasty taste. Okay, well,
all I said was Star Wars. I didn't name movies.
It's still stuck in my teeth. Okay, no, we got all this wonderful eye candy, and you know what? Yeah. The thing about this wonderful eye candy, it was held down, and you were against realistic imagery. Mm-hmm. Example, the Hulk smashing a car. Everyone gets it. Everyone understands the shape, the volume, the pounding. But if you see a big blue alien throwing rocks at oversized bulldozer, no one's going to have that point of reference and feel the angst. There's no point of reference to the real world for us to feel it.
Well, there's a different like vibe now. With all that, you've got what you had then, which was a technological marvel. He did something. He broke boundaries. He did something and did effects nobody had ever seen before. People are tired of a lot of that now too. People don't want to see a CGI movie.
No, they want to see stuff that's got practical effects in it. We're going.
Yeah, the tide has turned in a little bit of a way where the pendulum has swung back to you can't just sell a movie on how good the effects are anymore because everybody has great effects.
Yeah,
you have to have more than that now, and I don't know if Avatar 2 offers that.
You guys got to admit a little bit here. It's a lot of prejudgment. We literally know nothing about it to have any real discussion on what this next movie is or isn't.
Oh, we know.
Yeah.
Paul, we know. James Cameron said it specifically. The next movie is about the underwater experience.
No. I know that, but we don't know that's nothing. We don't know anything.
Right, but we know enough to know whether we think we're going to be interested or not. I mean, I guess maybe because we know nothing, there is a general lack of interest. I'm not interested in Avatar 2. I'm just because maybe it's because I don't know anything. I don't know. I'm just not that interested. And to know that it's not only 2, it's 2, 3, 4. I mean, how many other ones? I mean, it's awful presumptuous though.
It hasn't earned that. It hasn't earned that.
Right.
Here's the biggest problem. He's going to have some tough competition because that competition is going to start in November of this year. Now, this is just my opinion. Take it for what it is. You've got Denis Villeneuve coming out with his adaptation of Dune. And from all optics thus far, this looks like it's going to be one of the best adaptations of Dune that we have ever gotten. And I'm honestly now I'm not a huge Dune lore person. I don't know. I haven't read all the books and everything, but I remember the 80s movie. I remember the sci-fi miniseries that were done and everything back in the 90s and the early 2000s. Seeing what I've heard thus far about Dune 2020, everything by Villeneuve, and seeing his resume as it is. Seeing how well his movies have been received, seeing how much time and attention and effort that he has put into them. Now, I'm not trying to blow smoke up the man's backside, far from it. But if he brings us something with Dune that's really going to wow us, it may very well leave Avatar in the dust.
I would agree. there is one thing that a lot of people have done since the 70s is they've taken Jodorowsky's big,
I've heard of it.
huge playbook on Dune. I mean, it was drawn by Mobius, Jean Renoir, right?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've seen it.
And, and it's like he sent that as a resume to all the studios, and they took it and they ran with their own movies based off of the design works in that monstrosity of a book. And if you ever get your hands on it, it's gold.
There's actually one channel on YouTube. It's called Quinn's Theories now. It used to be Ideas of Fire and Ice, because he does a lot of Dune and a lot of Game of Thrones lore. And he actually he released a video not too long ago, and he released an update. He has actually got an exclusive interview with one of the executive producers and Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson. But here's the thing. Originally, they were going to let the executive producer come on before the movie was released. I'm thinking, isn't it? I think it's Warner Brothers or anything that's funding the movie or producing the movie or whatever. They actually sent. They told the executive producer he couldn't come on until after the movie was released in December. The executive producer emailed Quinn and told him that unfortunately they're going to have to push the interview back because the producer had told Quinn, I will come on if you want to have your channel, you want to have your viewers or anything submit questions, I will answer them, and so on. Quinn came on, I think it was earlier this week, and he did a live stream with, I think it was somebody else that works with him on his channel, and said that unfortunately we're going to have to push back that interview until December. It is still going forward, but not only are we getting the executive producer, but we're getting Brian Herbert, we're getting Kevin J. Anderson, who did a lot of the sequel books and prequel books for the Dune universe. The reason the executive producer reached out to Quinn is because Quinn's got a pretty good following. He's got like 200,000 some odd subscribers or whatever. But not only that, his material on the lore of the Dune universe and Game of Thrones is so good. They were like, we believe that you would do the best job and you would give a very good voice or do good publicity for this movie. You would do it honestly. And the fact that you've got a YouTuber that's got a good following, but he's still relatively unknown amongst a lot of other channels or anything. I just discovered him a couple of years ago myself, and I do watch his stuff because he's my go-to for Dune lore and everything, because it is an interest of mine.
Well, interesting. I'll just add before you continue. Hollywood has a metric system where they look at the number of books you published or printed and pushed out, the number of followers you have on social media, and they extrapolate that outwards. Meaning, 200,000 has a reach of say 10 million, and so they have a very specific formula. And when they look at you, they don't look at the numbers that you have; they look at your reach potential.
Yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree with you on that, George. As I said, I'm not a huge Dune expert. I don't. A lot of the stuff I did a little bit on my own by reading the books, but I also, thank you, Shea. Yeah, thank you. Quinn's Ideas. Yeah. His channel, he does good stuff. His videos, some of them go long, some of them are short, but he is like, he knows his stuff when it comes to Dune, when it comes to Game of Thrones, anything like that. And I actually sent him when I was going to do my Dune stream. I did my Dune stream a few weeks ago. I actually sent him a DM on Twitter. I don't know if he ever saw it or not, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to try. He's a bigger channel than me, obviously. I'm just got just one little channel with 200 and some odd subscribers at this point. But that's how much respect and everything and for his work that he has done with these different properties. And I'm honestly, of everything that's coming out in 2020, Dune is the one movie I'm most excited for. Do I want to see Wonder Woman 84? Yes, I do, because it takes place in a decade that I grew up in, the 1980s. I love the 80s. I love the whole aesthetic. I love the story with a little bit you've learned in the trailer. Black Widow, I'm looking forward to and everything. I wish they had done this movie sooner. I wish they had done it. I'm of the same opinion of a lot of people. I wish they had done Black Widow and everything after Civil War or after Winter Soldier, one of the two. I don't care which. But Dune is the big one for me. Dune is what I've got focused and everything. And the reason I'm talking about this, yeah, they can do a lot of publicity and a lot of push for Avatar. But the problem is, this is a property that is almost, 10 plus years old now. From 09 to 19, 10 years. And if they're going to come out this year or next year, I'm guessing they're shooting for next year.
December of next year.
Is it December of next year?
Yeah.
Well, let's do what comes out next year, December. That
honestly, I honestly don't know.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
Someone said earlier, and I'm sorry I didn't catch who said it. Someone said earlier that we know almost nothing. How can we judge it when we know almost nothing?
Yeah, it wasn't me.
I think it was either Jason.
I think it was Adam.
Go ahead.
It might have been Adam. It might have been Frank. Yeah.
Okay.
And I get Adam's point and everything, and I honestly agree with him and everything, because we know next to nothing about this new Avatar. So I think instead of jumping the gun, I say we just sit back and wait. But I think what we're talking about here is franchise recognizability, franchise exposure.
Well, also what he's done, what he has done, and his track record. If he brings it, and I mean really brings it, like he used to bring it, I can see it being huge. If he does not bring it, old school Cameron style, this is going to fade into obscurity. And I hate that they're already planning 3 other movies after it. I can't stand that shit. Earn it. Earn the right to make more. That's what you did with the first Avatar, and you waited 12 years to make another one. Earn it. Well, don't just say, well, we're going to make 5 movies. That's what that Dark Universe shit did when they were like, oh, we're coming out with The Mummy, and then we're going to come out with this, and we're going to come out with that. And guys, you haven't earned it yet. You haven't earned shit. Bring it. Bring the pain. Hit a home run, and then talk to me about what you're going to do next and next after that.
Well, just to jump in on that real quick.
Cameron said that he's doing the next 4 movies at the same time.
Oh, so he's pulling the Peter Jackson with Lord of the Rings.
That's right.
Yeah, I think one, it's more of a cost cutting thing than anything else, because I think he plans on making them no matter what. I see that. I see your point about not earning it, but I do have to say I think they earned at least one, maybe even a second one, based on the fact that the first Avatar was a massive success. I mean, whether you liked it or not, I mean, that's a total definite discussion and worthy of having. But the numbers don't lie, and it was a smash success.
No, they earned a second one, but my only question is, why did it take almost a decade?
Yeah. What? That's my question. What has Cameron has been practically absent from? I say practically because he has done some producing stuff on some movies, but he's been practically absent.
He's been out doing like deep sea diving.
Find the Titanic.
He's been doing like real live deep sea diving, like diving further than anybody else ever has. And he's been out on a ship for the last like 5 years doing that. As far as I know, that was his dream thing, was to go deeper than any human had ever gone in a ship.
And on top of that, he said that he's creating new technology for filmmaking. So they're creating it and breaking it in at the same time.
Well, and if that's the case, okay, more power to him. And I can understand it takes time to develop a new technology. I get that. I appreciate that fact. I'm not going to be some blowhard and everything who's not going to give him
Well, here's a little insight. What I think the new technology is. Back in early 2000s, I was working producing glasses-free 3D TV production methods, and up until I think it was like 5-6 years ago, the actual glasses that you put on to go to in the theaters, and the ones that you have in your home theater system, it's been medically proven that the 3D system with the glasses at home actually damages your eyes, because it forces your eyes to actually converge unnaturally, and it was medically proven, and it actually made a mess of the plans for Sony to come up with all these great 3D TV products along with the Avatar release for home video. And then after a few years later, Cameron said, "Yeah, we're not using this technology where you have to put on the glasses. We're developing glasses-free 3D TV technology." But the thing is, the technology that existed and still exists today is that you need 8 cameras at a minimum, 8 camera angles, all slightly bent, focused at a certain point, to get that true 3D effect without the glasses when you're looking at it. It's like a lenticular effect on the screen. So, but the problem is the technology is very coarse. The TVs themselves are like $2,400, where a normal TV will cost you a couple of $100. So what's going on is the technology I think they're trying to create is the next generation glasses-free 3D TV hardware. So when you have your big screen 60-inch, you just flick the switch, and the screen itself actually creates a pattern that you can comfortably actually discern into 3D space from your couch.
Fascinating.
And that's amazing.
And yeah, it is. I've dealt with this technology since early 2000s for marketing and advertising, and it's a beautiful thing, but it's still very, very coarse and very, very expensive. And the process to create the graphics for it is ridiculous.
Does anybody remember Shadows of the Empire?
Hell yes.
Okay. There was a headset you could order that was like $300 that would make the stormtroopers look like they were coming out of your screen while you were playing that. It was in an old Electronic Gaming Monthly magazine, but you had to order that, and it was $300 just for the headset to hook up to your system so that you could see the stormtroopers in 3D. Just the stormtroopers. That was it.
Wow.
Hey guys, I don't want to interrupt or anything, but I just wanted to, I got to head out. I got to go deal with some kids and stuff. They've been up a little bit late. So, but I just want to say thanks for having me, everybody. I appreciate it.
Jason.
Yep.
Jason, you're welcome anytime here, bud. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, sir.
I hope you enjoyed yourself.
I certainly did. Thanks, guys. Have a good evening.
Nice meeting you, Jason.
Peace. Nice meeting you guys. It's been great. Thanks.
Peace, bud.
Talk to them, man.
If any of y'all have
I think I'm gonna bounce too. It's almost.
Yeah, I think we're gonna wrap this up. So,
before you do any of you guys play? This was an old, like I guess late '80s, early '90s stand-up arcade game. It was like the hologram time traveler.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking when you're talking about that 3D technology that's sort of like there but not really. That game reminds you of like kind of what you're talking about there, which would be cool. If we can
the holographic cowboy.
Yeah.
Yes.
It sounds familiar, but I never played it. Orville Nation, good night, man. Thank you for coming. So, but yeah, I think we've done dissected. We've done a good deep dive on Galaxy Quest, and we've had a nice little conversation about some other things too. So, if you guys want to do a final plug on your channels or whatnot, then we'll close this out.
Come over to Twitter and look me up, George Peter Gatsis. You'll see a lot witty remarks that I have. But
yes,
there's something pinned to my Twitter account. It's a link to my Indiegogo campaign, where if you sign up early, you'll get all the discounts for my next book and also a reprint of my first book.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go next.
Adam, go ahead.
Come over to my channel if you want. Fanjexture next week.
Yes.
We have another tournament. I believe we're doing most anticipated for what's next month? March or May, something like that. I don't know. I forget what we're doing. It's late. I'm tired. But yeah, come on over to the channel. And it was great meeting you guys. This was a lot of fun tonight. I love Galaxy Quest. I love these conversations, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Okay. Stone,
I get to go last. I run Mornings of Mischief on every Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Central Time. It's Loki's Mornings of Mischief. We talk about everything. We talk about movies. We talk about Star Trek, Star Wars. I don't hate on everything. I love good discussions and I love talking positive stuff, but I also like to, I guess,
bring the heat.
Flame on and bring the heat when something is really crappy. So, and we have a good time. We all have a good time.
Yeah.
Chat's great. And I at Ambassadors there in the mornings most of the time. And I absolutely love my chat. And I'd love to come here on the weekends.
So, well, to all of my guests tonight, George Peter Gatz's Adam, Fanjexture, Stone Loki, Flipped Out, Jason Pressman. Gentlemen, it's been a blast. To everybody in the chat, everybody who's still here, to my moderators, Shea Stormdragon and Kathia Star. Thank you for joining us this evening. And until next time, this is the Ambassador signing off.